This morning, let's explore easy ethics. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This morning we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two, but first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as profoundly as Rey Skywalker on Ajahn class under the guidance of General Leia Organa, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. What am I looking for? I guess I'm looking for button number 5. First, I'm going to take a moment to blow my nose. Okay. This morning, we could explore easy ethics that you too could meditate like a Jedi. If at any time during this morning's live stream you have a question about meditation, or philosophy, or even chanting, there is no need to be shy. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, if you're watching a replay, it'll be different. You'll want to type your question in the comment area below the video. Well, my friends, here in California, it is dark 100. So if you are as dappled and drowsy as me, you might find it refreshing to knock out 2 or 3 repetitions of geriatric step back squat thrusts before an image of a Buddha. Let's see, I guess if I push this corner, that could work. Wavy! Whoops, a little bit out of it, folks. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through relying on the Buddha's example instructions and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through relying on the Buddha's example instructions and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through relying on the Buddha's example instructions and students. All right. This morning, let's discuss easy ethics. By way of context, let's look at some of the teachings of the Tao Te Ching. Many stupid white men write many commentaries on books they do not understand, like the Tao Te Ching. And many stupid white men will tell you that the Tao Te Ching is all about reconciling the yang with the yin. And that sounds beautiful, but it ain't right. If you were to recite 6 chapters of the Tao Te Ching every 12 hours for 10 or 20 years, patterns you would notice patterns. And one of those patterns is that we are told in many of the 81 poems of the Tao Te Ching to always eschew yang and embrace yin. So we're told to forsake our tendencies that make us rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, and competitive, as well as cruel. And we're told to embrace our potential to be flexible, loving, laid-back, egalitarian, and cooperative. I think Einstein did a very good job of summarizing this. It is said that he quipped, "Any educated idiot can make things more difficult, more violent, more complicated. However, it takes a lot of courage and a little bit of genius to move in the opposite direction." My friends, the essence of the Buddha's path is the Eightfold Path. 50% of the Eightfold Path pertains to love and kindness. And there was a time when the Buddha taught his teachings, it was just that simple. To be a good person, choose a loving intention, and allow that intention to fuel loving conduct, loving communication, and loving commerce. So what is loving communication? It's non-manipulative, it's non-controlling, it's not derisive, it doesn't seek to injure people or snap people out of it or bend people to your will. Conduct is respectful and loving, and it doesn't demand that we be omniscient, just that we put our loving intention into action. And here's the big part: we have the humility to learn from our mistakes, to learn the right lessons from our mistakes. It has been said that the key to mindfulness is to be vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random. If we make a mistake and choose not to do that anymore, we will be metaphorically stabbing ourselves in the foot. But if we learn the right lessons from our mistakes and maintain the vulnerability and the commitment to moving and choosing and speaking from a centered spontaneity, we will do good. And so we wish that may all beings' practice of kind communication, conduct, and commerce flow spontaneous and uncontrived. One of the quickest ways to destroy someone's journey on any spiritual path is to get them to start second-guessing themselves. Ooh, you better check it before you wreck it. You better make sure your motivation is perfect before you do anything. Why not just do the right thing? You know, if some kid is drowning, don't check your motivation. Just go save the kid. How's that sound? You know, if there's a kitten lonely, hungry, and abandoned on your doorstep, don't go into psychoanalysis for 6 years before helping the cat. He'll be dead by then. Do the right thing in the most wonderful way, as best you can. Much of it is taught in the name of Buddhism today would not be recognized by the historical Buddha if he was alive now and spoke our languages. He would not recognize karmic purification and ritual and regulation. He just kept it simple. Choose love. And the greatest offering you can give the Buddha is enthusiastic application of his teachings. That's it. Nothing more. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So, many years ago, I attended a Toastmasters public speaking meeting, and a card-carrying member of the IRS was there, and they said the way to secure your job security and a promotion is to invent a new form. Similarly, when we read many of the sad and tragic tales of the Buddha's wicked cousin Devadatta, we learn that the self-important like to add rules and make things more complicated. I remember decades ago, when I was young, dumb, and full of folly, I would write my own sadhanas and make them needlessly long and excessively complicated. And I thought that made me very, very spiritual. But I forgot that it is the educated idiots who make things more complicated, more difficult, and more violent. And it is the wise who have the courage and the genius to move in the other direction. So as a fool in reform, I know what it's like to add things to the Buddha's teachings, pat myself on the back, and think I'm a good boy. But that doesn't help people. Memorizing hundreds of rules doesn't help, and it hinders people. Every healthy primate is born with the capacity to notice and love and let go. What we do on any spiritual path is either going to hinder that or help that. Making morality more complicated is not going to help it. So remember, kind communication, use your faculty of communication to make people feel better. Conduct. Be kind. Commerce. Don't run around trying to get people fired or push people out of business. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I'd like to take a moment for housekeeping before we continue on with the meditation portion of this morning's live stream. Every 12 hours, I broadcast a live meditation class without any ads. This channel is supported by the generosity of viewers, just like you. With your help, this channel could come to support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If this speaks to you and you'd like to help out even for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month, poke around the description area below the video. You'll find 2 links, one for Patreon, one for PayPal. You'll find 2 YouTube buttons, one to join, one for Super Chat. Whichever one speaks to you, click it if it pleases you. Checking for questions and finding none, I think it could be great fun if together as a team we chanted 4 passages from the from my adaptation and amplification of the Padmakara group's translation of the Final Meditation Manual, Heart Treasure of the Enlightened Ones, attributed to Dza Patrul Rinpoche, a great Tibetan saint living in the late 1800s. What can you say about years, months, or days? Look how things change every moment right now. Each moment that passes brings you closer to death. Now this very moment recite the 12-syllable mantra. So because I'm making some edits, I'm going to rename this file because that's how I roll. Let's see. The screen's going to go nuts. Give me a moment, and I will return you safe and sound to the Shire. Oops, look at that. Wrong button. Okay, here we go. As your life runs out like the setting sun sinking away, death closes in like the lengthening shadows of evening. Now what is left of your life will vanish as fast as the last fading shadows. There is no time to waste, recite this 12-syllable mantra. This 12-syllable mantra, all the perfect is dharma, is fruitless recited while chatting and looking around. And to cling to the number recited is the miss the point outright. Undistractedly watching the mind recite this 12-syllable mantra. If you check your mind over and over again, whatever you do becomes the perfect path. Of all the hundreds of vital instructions, this is the very quintessence. Fusing everything into this one single point, recite this 12-syllable mantra. Tapping button 9, we should turn now to this morning's primary practice text, which of course is available for free download. We begin by strengthening our neural pathways responsible for empathy. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy, may no one be separated from their happiness. May everyone have balance free from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. How could stressors give us the precious opportunity to bring dependence into compassion's path and change into the path of letting go? How could stressors give us the precious opportunity to bring dependence into compassion's path and change into the path of letting go? How could stressors give us the precious opportunity to bring dependence into compassion's path and change into the path of letting go? Let us blend mantra contemplation with love. Through the cause and effect of my practice of love and letting go, may each sentient being of each world know practice with me in unison. With whom we invoke the example of the Muni Wise One. Like the Maha Greatly Wise One Muni, yea, of the chakras we so hot wish enlightenment for all. As we chant the mantra, get fearless of golden rays are emitting from Etham Nilsa Horizontal 12 syllable mantra rosary at our hearts. Lavishing all circumstances, bodies, Let's try this again. Lavishing all minds, communication, bodies, and circumstances with wisdom, love, health, and good fortune, centered and spontaneous. We're going to blend 4 intentions with mantra recitation. These intentions are going to be highly figurative, for vertebrates on this planet evolved to think symbolically. Now, remember, our job is not to change how we feel, because there's a difference between emotion and volition, between feeling and willing. We can feel cranky instead still choose to do the kind thing. That doesn't make us hypocritical, it makes us grown up. So we can lovingly wish that all minds are now as wise as a Buddha's mind, sometimes symbolized by a 1-syllable mantra. We're going to, in Buddhist manifesting, instead of just focusing on ourselves, we focus on all beings everywhere. Instead of being specific, we are generalized. During our inhalations, we silently and mentally recite a loving intention. During our exhalations, we physically relax while whispering the mantra. Now you might say, but what if the Buddha wasn't wise? What if the Buddha didn't exist? Or what if the Buddha did exist and I don't believe? What's up with that? Good question. Let me ask you this. You ever watch cartoons? Do you remember the cartoon with Speedy Gonzales? Which is racist and did not age well. You can say, dude, George, in track and field, George is as quick as Speedy Gonzales. Doesn't matter whether or not Speedy Gonzales was real or not. He has a mental idea that we use as a comparison, as a figurative comparison to enhance our appreciation or comprehension of something. That's how similes work. So whether the Buddha was real or merely archetypical, we can appreciate the idea that he might have been wise. Wise in the ways of letting go of cruelty and letting go of clinging. Around the world, there are many pieces of art depicting the Buddha. Some of them inspire great peace and hope that this individual appears peaceful and appears loving. Perhaps I can do likewise. If that's all a Buddha statue ever does, then that's perfect right there. And you might ask, why perform enlightened fitness before a Buddha statue? And the answer is, well, you gotta do something fit anyway, or your body's going to get very cranky. So to blend efficient, sustainable fitness with spiritual enthusiasm, I've found over numerous decades to be useful. Now, I have not found superstition or fear to be useful. I have not found bowing to the Buddhas, real or imagined, in hopes of purifying bad karma or increasing good karma to be beneficial. I found that increases my aversion and greed. But I found that saying, I'm going to exercise in an efficient way in front of a statue tends to increase my enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the sixth fold of the eightfold path. I'd rather be propelled by enthusiasm than by a mountain of shoulds. How about you? Okay, un momento, my friends. If you're hearing a noise, it's my space heater. Cooking my back. Let us lovingly wish that all communication and its interpersonal consequences of all beings was now as loving as the enlightened archetype, symbolized by a multi-syllable mantra. Let us lovingly wish that all bodies were now as healthy, or I should say, let us lovingly wish that all bodies now possess the health that various artists have depicted the archetypes of enlightenment as possessing. Let us lovingly wish that all circumstances were now as safe and fortunate as the circumstances depicted by, as, let's see here. Oh, to choose the proper wording. Let us wish that all circumstances enjoyed the safety and good fortune depicted by artists, inferred by artists when depicting the environments of an enlightened archetype. Our next four contemplations are going to blend mantra with the wisdom of letting go. May I let go of all circumstances, bodies, communication, and minds, as if they were as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, could be non-graspable to the hand. So for the next, for the next 8 contemplations, we're going to play with rhetorical questions. Excuse me. So here we go. Why is it that as we inhale, whoopsie, wrong button. Why is it that as we inhale, we can observe the visual facets of our circumstances, and yet, as we physically relax into our exhalation, these exact same circumstances could feel as if they were as non-graspable as a Buddha's mythic paradise comprised only of light? So now, second rhetorical question. Why is it that as we inhale, we could observe the sensations of our bodies, and yet, as we physically relax into our exhalation, these exact same bodies could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as a Buddha's real or imagined body comprised only of light? Why is it that when we inhale, we could observe the resonance of our communication and its interpersonal consequences, and yet, as we physically relax into our exhalation, each communication and its interpersonal consequences, whether they are kind or cruel, could feel as if they had become as non-graspable as a Buddha's real or imagined polysyllabic mantra? Why is it that as we inhale, we can clearly observe our minds and their functions of perception, emotion, intention, reason, recall, and imagination? And yet, as we physically relax into our exhalation, these exact same minds can begin to feel. These exact same minds, whether they are dull or wise, can begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as a Buddha's real or imagined mind, sometimes symbolized by a one-syllable mantra. You know, I misspoke. As non-graspable as a Buddha's real or imagined mind, comprised only of light. Ha ha ha. There we go. This morning's 4 final contemplations are in the format of rhetorical questions, but without mantras. So let's consider obstructions to peace. The 3 primary obstructions to peace and joy and and love and wisdom would be the tyranny of dread, desire, and confusion. Confusion's two pillars would be competitiveness and clinging. We're going to deal with those final two facets right now. Let's just treat melting as a metaphor of impermanence to help us to leapfrog over the tyranny of our clinging tendencies. And let's play with absorption as a metaphor of interdependence, that we might leapfrog over the tyranny of our needless competitiveness. How could all places blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into this body? How could all bodies blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into this speech? How could all speech blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into this mind? How could all minds blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into infinite emptiness? Let's revisit the five mental poisons. The five mental poisons could be described as dread, desire, confusion, competitiveness, and clinging. Having dealt with the final three, we now turn our attention to dread and desire. We're going to slice through that duality with the next two silent meditations. First, relaxing into the nature of bliss. This corresponds to the first through fourth meditative jhanas or levels. We could demystify mindfulness by silently and mentally reciting "feeling this" during each inhalation. And we could demystify meditation by silently and mentally reciting "relaxing" during each exhalation. But why is that? Every inhalation accesses the sympathetic nervous system that supports the sensory acuity that allows us to perceive sensation, flavor, scent, sound, sight, and the like, as well as emotion, intention, thought, memory, and imagination. When we courageously perceive in a manner that is vulnerable, passive, visceral, and spontaneous, the only label we need ever use is simply the monosyllabic pronoun this. But what are we to do with all the stuff that we notice? Every exhalation accesses our parasympathetic nervous system that supports both our physical relaxation as well as our mental release. What are some of the things we could find ourselves releasing? We could find ourselves releasing our habitual resistance to the presence of that which we hate. We could find ourselves releasing our habitual resistance to the real or imagined absence of that which we crave. We could find ourselves releasing our habitual resistance to the real or imagined loss of that to which we cling. It is 48 minutes after the hour. Let's meditate. Let us now silently and mentally meditate on love. Let us wish nonviolence for all minds. One moment. If you feel like hours we could return to explore death, rebirth, and meditation, as well as meditate some more. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.